cheap as beep. Hey, welcome to Cheap ASF. This is a low profile faucet replacement. Here's some of the main tools you're going to be needed. Adjustable wrench, screwdriver, possibly gloves, towel, plumber's tape, new faucet obviously, but mainly that adjustable wrench is going to be probably the most useful. You can use like a 3/8, but I found the adjustable is better. So the first step is to turn off the water. And one thing I didn't include in this video was double checking to make sure the water is off. Unfortunately, I think I did it wrong and the water is still on. Some of it's spilled out. I don't even know if you can see it in the video. But so after you shut these water valves off, hot and cold, just go up to your old faucet, turn it on, make sure it's off. Here's a quick screen there. 5/8 fits that fitting typically. However, the adjustable wrench I found to be the best. So after that water is checked, make sure it's shut off. Go ahead and just take off those fittings, the brass 5/8 screws. And if you didn't have your towel down, this is a good time to have it because usually there's some water stuck in the lines. All right, for this part, typically, so they're not screws up there. However, I just replaced this faucet about a week ago. My wife wanted a different one, low profile. So this one is actually pretty easy to install. I have another video if you want to check it out. However, this one, each probably faucet's slightly different, but it's 2 Phillips screws, and then you actually can just hand unscrew it. Typically, I've found older houses, or even if you just moved in or something and replacing the faucet, usually that larger adjustable wrench is going to work. It usually doesn't fit down there, so you can take your adjustable wrench and cut the handle off on the big one, or I'll include a link to a rigid tool that works pretty good. I didn't have much luck with it, but so I just took the weight off that handle. So then this part just unclips. Add some water to that shot out a little bit. There's that brand new faucet. This one, I'll include a link to it too. I have a video for that one. Awesome, I liked it a lot. My wife just needed a low profile. I forgot to take the bolt off here, so I had to go back underneath and get it off. And just take those all the way completely off. So after you get the old faucet out, I should just pull right out. I already did this in the other video I have posted on my site, but I took some alcohol pads too. You can see right there. Took those out and just clean that off just in case. And you can actually use a razor blade too, if I can talk, to kind of scrape off any of that caulking or any type of glue or whatever else might have been stuck on there, mildew, grime, and it'll come right off. So you get your new faucet, slide that puppy in. I think there was an O-ring I had to put underneath. So just, you can always check the instructions and just kind of follow. There's that O-ring I was telling you about. So this part is kind of a pain in this. So this fitting doesn't fit too well with all those hoses in there. So, and I put a little note too on here. But first you put that washer up there, that rubber washer. The next that I found, I didn't have any success doing it this way in the video. I wanted to include it so maybe you don't do the same mistakes that I did. So what I actually did was I pulled the handle top to pull the black hose all the way through up to the tip of that faucet housing up there at the top. That right there. This black hose. I pull it all the way through the handle and pull it all the way through because the clip that hose goes into is very large, and I had trouble getting this fitting in there. So then after I pulled it through, that was the last hose to put through, is the black one. A little bit more challenging, I would say, than that last faucet I had. The last faucet I think was much easier to install than this. This one was a little tough on this part. So here, this is where I kind of finally got it through. The only benefit this one has is just a hand screw. You don't have to use your adjustable wrench, so that's kind of cool. There's that clip. And this is where I'm pulling the hose through. You see there? That's the last one I put through. And then I pulled it all the way through. I could not get it through any other way. So then on this part, you just hand tighten this. And one thing I like about this faucet is after you kind of got through that hard part there, after this is tightened, even checking the faucet up top after this is what I did in the Feel So faucet. That's the one I did a few weeks ago. I posted that video on my site. But basically after I tighten this on, I make sure it's straight up top, but both of the faucet and the handle swivel, so it doesn't really matter if it's slightly crooked because you can just move it. That's one big benefit on it, and the low profile is kind of nice for dishes and whatnot. So there you go, I kind of got that pretty tight. Here I'm just double checking what's over there. You can see both of those swivel. And then put a little bit of that Plumbers tape on the hot water there. I just hand tighten these first, and then I'll go back in with the adjustable wrench and tighten them up. The Plumbers tape is very helpful, very cheap. I added a link. I think it's like $3 for 3 or 4 of them. It's great. Helps with these sometimes leaks that come through. You just put a little bit on there, and after you tighten it up, fixes it right up. So again, hand tighten both of those. I had to curl these a little bit because the hoses are pretty long. That's probably the hardest part of this job, is just doing the tightening, because there's usually not a lot of space. big pain, typically. And this house that I have now, there's actually a decent amount of room under there, but a few other houses is even smaller. So they don't have to be extremely tight, but you do want them pretty tight because you don't want any leaking. And even after I tighten these, after I turn the water on, I always like to let it run for a little bit and see if anything's dripping out. And if it is, I'll just go back in with the adjustable wrench and tighten it up a little bit more. So in this part, you make sure you have the hot water hooked up correctly, because you don't want to go back in here and redo it. It's kind of a pain. So sometimes what you can do if these aren't marked good is just put a piece of tape on the hot water, if you need to, maybe like electrical tape. So after those are hooked up and the water's turned on, now just verify you did it right by turning on the hot water and the cold water. And this is kind of like the final check. And I'll add links to the tools I used on here, as well as a link to Faucet, the last faucet that you saw me take out, and this faucet. And there you have it. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe and check out my other videos. Thanks a lot.